Hello and welcome back to another episode of Strong Collectors Comics. I'm your host Jordan, joined today by my plucky co-host Dakota. We are incredibly excited here about Marvel DC coming back for some one-shots later this year. Now, everybody knows a huge part of Marvel DC originally was the Amalgam universe, where we had a bunch of mashups of some of our favorite characters coming together in some unique combos. Now, we would love to see that continue, and we each have 5, maybe some additional ones sprinkled in there, picks that we would love to see get an Amalgam treatment coming up. So, starting things off, Dakota, I'm going to hit you with a character that I like to call Frank Constantine, or Constantine, the Hellblazing Punisher. Now, you know what I know. This is going to be a mashup of the Punisher and John Constantine. And I feel like this is just a natural match. Obviously, you're going to have Frank Castle, or Frank Constantine is, his family's killed. He thinks by mobsters. Turns out they're demons. Of course they are. So he's going to blend his Black Ops specialty training with a knowledge of the occult. We're going to get some demon fighting. There's going to be some criminals that turn out to be demons that are criminals. He's going to fight probably the devil, Mephisto, whatever that Trigon Mephisto combo is, and go on all sorts of wild adventures. So I feel like we could get some pretty cool mileage out of those characters coming together.
I like that. That is good. I just imagine him with like some souped up magic shotgun,
yeah, some
just blasting away
crossbows,
demons.
some cool mystical weapons. I'd love to see, he's got his trench coat and then that white fiery skull probably or something like that. Always smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
So that's my first pitch for a Amalgam character.
Okay. I like it. I'll see your Mephisto, and he's gonna be part of this story, but it's gonna be. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with an A-lister. Not my whole list is not all A-listers here, but it just fits in well, so it's gonna segue into Bat of Vengeance. So this is gonna be a Ghost Rider mashup with Batman. I just imagine like the early on in the new Batman movie.
Oh,
it's like, who are you? I'm Vengeance. And so there's the mashing there, and then we're gonna have he becomes kind of that Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance because he makes a deal with the Ra's al Ghul Mephisto mashup.
Oh yeah.
So I don't imagine I don't think Batman necessarily is going to be like with the cape and everything. I imagine it's going to be more of like Ghost Rider. Like he's going to have the bike, probably not quite like the Harley. Maybe more of like the crotch rocket-ish, not necessarily the like Bat Pod from the Christian Bale movies, but still like Batman on a motorcycle. I kind of imagine he has like when he's like jumping off of buildings and stuff, like his cape is more made of fire, but it kind of comes down in like bat wings.
Some chains in there.
That's kind of what I'm going with for this one. Right, like I imagine the chains like always wrapped around his arms, but then he can unfurl them.
Would he still have like the Batcave and the tech and stuff, or would you kind of be stripping some of that away?
I think I would take some of the tech away, and that would kind of come from more of like fiery, like batarangs almost. Like he can just kind of
maybe
like conjure
Alfred
them.
is like his dad's old mechanic buddy or something like that, and I don't know. He's gonna have to cross over with Frank Constantine as they go on some kind of occult mystery.
I think they could.
I think that's a good one. I think that's a natural pairing.
Yeah.
It's kind of surprising they didn't do that in the 90s, because that was like ultra 90s time was Ghost Rider. So
true. But I think the Dark Claw Wolverine Batman
that one is cool.
mix up is pretty sweet. I mean, it's just that one's kind of on the nose though.
Yeah.
But it works. I like that one a lot.
I would love to see this version, so sign me up. So the next one I'm going to hit us with, Dakota, we're going to go a little more cosmic with the character called the Emerald Warlock.
Okay.
And this is going to be Adam Warlock crossed over with the Green Lantern. So I'm imagining in this version, Adam Warlock in the comics, he's kind of the space wizard type guy. So maybe he was like a low-level guy, and he's going to find some relics from a long-dead alien race known as the Green Lanterns, and he is going to find maybe the last ring, or so he thinks, which will imbue him with power, And then he's got a little magic, and really Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern was very tied into it being a magic ring. So we kind of lean into the magic part, blend it with the space part, get some cosmic adventures, and then he could see some of our amalgamated cosmic characters that are going to get put together. Maybe the Guardians of the Galaxy, Starjammers, or something like that.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I like that. I had thought about doing a Green Lantern mashup with Moon Knight. I was going to call it like Moon Lantern. But then I pivoted and I took out Green Lantern and I put in Hawkman. So I did Moonhawk. So I'm imagining kind of still that like Hawkman type mask for sure, but it's going to be white. And you're kind of mashing up kind of two Egyptian-ish types of backgrounds. I imagine this is kind of similar to my Batman where like the cape kind of turns into his wings and he can then fly with that. So,
and you get the mythologies coming together, right? Of like Khonshu, the Egyptian, the reincarnation.
Right. So that's why I was thinking I like that version a little bit better. So that's why I went with the Moon Knight Hawkman.
And then
combo.
you could play into the like reincarnation, multiple personality thing. Like maybe is he really reincarnating, or does he have the personalities of all the past Hawkmen that have melded together in his mind?
I like it. It's almost like I could see kind of like a Avatar: The Last Airbender. I don't know if you got too into that show, but like where they can like go back and kind of talk to the previous avatars.
I like that. Okay, Moonhawk. I'm here for it. Now this one, we're going to get a little more whimsical, maybe lighthearted, possibly comedic. And I'm going to hit you with two options here, Dakota. One character, he could be blended multiple ways. So the first one would be Howard the Imp. And that's going to be Howard the Duck mixed with our favorite guy whose name we can't pronounce, Mr. Mitzias whatever you want it to be. So he'd be kind of like your trickster, kind of sarcastic. He kind of comes around, and he'd probably be a little more lighthearted, but there'd still be some of that mischievous element. But if we want to go in a different direction, you could have Mr. Uatu, and that's going to be the Watcher with Mr. Mitzelplex. So it'd be kind of like he's this omniscient, multi-reality observing, but whereas Uatu is more like stoic, standoffish, I can't get involved, this guy kind of just wants to have fun and mess with people, right? But sometimes he might actually be helpful. But I think he could be kind of like your guy that pops in between your stories to kind of thread them together, more or less. And I think he could get some kind of fun scenarios there. I have no idea what Mr. Uatu would look like, but I'd love for somebody to draw it.
I like that idea. I like getting a Mr. Mixelplix in there.
Somebody tell us how to say it. We've been trying for years to figure that out.
That's a good one.
No luck.
Right. I don't know if I have a perfect segue for this, but you were going like whimsical. This one, it's not necessarily whimsical. I just think the name is kind of goofy. I couldn't come up with like a good mashup, so I went with Super Fantastic Man. And this is Mr. Fantastic and Mr. Terrific, which you would think that'd be like Mr. Fantastic and Superman, but that doesn't make any sense. So
Right.
Mr. Fantastic and Mr. Terrific.
Right. Okay.
Two super smart guys. You're going to have, Mr. Terrific has the like black T on his face. Mr. Super Fantastic is going to have an F on his face. It still works. It's not quite as cool as the T. But I think you can have those like a mix of like the T spheres and Herbie. So I don't know what you would want to call those, H spheres or something.
Right.
I don't have the whole thing fleshed out. I just thought, Mr. Super Fantastic, because like how do you blend in two like
synonyms?
English thing. Synonyms. That's what it is.
Fantastic.
Terrific, fantastic, amazing.
Right.
All that kind of stuff. I thought you got to throw Mr. in there because it's also Mr. Terrific, Mr. Fantastic. Keep that.
Okay.
So still stretchy, super smart.
Stretching. Yeah. Stretchy. Yeah. You got he's like both of them being super intelligent, and they could be kind of the like, source of information, science-y.
Right.
Maybe he's trying to figure out what's going on. He's like, there's something weird here. I think
this would probably work well with like fleshing out more of like whatever the Fantastic Four is mixing from probably the Justice League. Because I don't know that Mr. Super Fantastic can carry a whole story himself.
Yeah.
If it's a one shot, you don't have to do a whole lot of heavy lifting, but
Mm-hmm.
I want these things to have something they can, roll with.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I like the name. It's kind of like a wink at, the silliness of
Right.
being called Mr. Fantastic or Mr. Terrific. So double
Exactly.
down, Mr. Super. You got to have Arnold Schwarzenegger say it at one point.
Mr. Super
Super
Fantastic.
Mr. Super Fantastic. It's good. Okay. Speaking of great names, this is one that I actually don't have a name for, Dakota, so you could help me. But the two characters I want to bring together are Enchantress and Poison Ivy. So I think we need some ladies, and I think this could be a blend where, Poison Ivy always has that science-y eco thing. I'm thinking we could root Enchantress more in that kind of old world, worship of the earth, Mother Nature. I think there's some natural segues there. So
Yeah.
maybe she's more like the supernatural personification or connected to like what's going on with the planet stuff. So you could still get the Poison Ivy kind of eco war, but I think Poison Ivy needs a little bit more power or menace, and I think a good way to do that would be to give her some magical abilities.
Okay.
So maybe
I'm
there's some
thinking, like,
cult that worshipped her in ancient times or something like that.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the name. I'm like, what kind of like magic plants are there? I'm thinking magic beanstalk.
Oh,
But no, not really.
yeah.
I'm thinking more like enchanted ivy or something like that.
Right. Okay, that's good.
That sounds a little more pretty
Yeah.
than magic beanstalk.
It could be. We'd probably have to look up some kind of Latin word or something like that. Make it fancy and highbrow.
Okay.
But that just struck me as two characters I think could come together.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. I like that. They both have like the green already going on, so that works. All right, next one. I'm going to go family book here. And this is going to be, I imagine, I'll just give you the name of the book, and it's going to be Visions of Mars. And it's going to
Okay,
be
I love it.
a Martian Manhunter and Vision
Heck yeah.
mashup. And it's going to be similar to the like Vision story where it was like his whole family type of thing. But it's going to be, it's going to be Martian Manhunter Vision, and then Vision Ms. Martian mashup, and then the other one's just kind of, imagine. But they're going to be like the synthezoids from Mars,
I was about to ask that.
Vision
I love
is
that.
kind of like remembering home, and like maybe the kids are kind of like, oh man, we never got to grow up on Mars or whatever it was, and they had to run while they were like young, and so they're kind of visions of Mars, thinking about the old ways, but maybe some of those old ways from there are coming back with what is it, the white Martians
Okay.
are
Yeah.
blended with maybe the white Vision,
All right.
something like that, and we've got some clashing there.
I like the being Martian androids. That'd be kind of fun. Maybe maybe they were attacked. You'd have the white Martians with like the Brainiac Ultron, something like
Ooh,
that.
there you go. I like
Wage
that.
war. Ties into whatever our Superman version's going to be.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty natural pairing, and I think I'd love to see that blend. Gives you a little more variety too. Okay, well this brings us into honorable mention time, does it not, Dakota?
Yes.
So one that I had, I couldn't quite figure out. I don't know, maybe I like it, but I wanted to work in Moon Knight, and this is an idea I had. This is a tentative name, and I know it's kind of been used, but I was going to call him either the Arkham or the Gotham Knight. And the idea is you're going to have Moon Knight, but his alternate personas are going to be the Batman Rogues Gallery. So I wanted a way, because they did this one time in a Moon Knight book where he kind of had like, he'd fight in different styles and have different personalities that were like different Avengers. So I was like, that'd be kind of fun to like, maybe some of these characters exist in this world, maybe not. But you could kind of play with that. Like maybe he was sent to Arkham and he met these characters, and then somehow he's like, blended a couple of these together. My second one is a little more civilian-y, and we're going with a J. Jonah Jameson Alfred combo. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but I think I'd like to see it happen. So maybe in this world, if he's teamed up with Gotham.
Gotham Knight.
Or what was your guy?
Arkham Knight. Mine was the Bat of Vengeance.
The Bat of Vengeance. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like he had a connection to the heroes. He's a editor. I wanted it to be not too obvious.
Okay.
But maybe it's just going to be Uncle Ben blended with Alfred because I can't get away from that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It seems like their personalities mash a little bit better.
Yeah, I was going for
'Cause
contrasting.
I'm trying to think of like an angry Englishman.
Yeah, I don't know if we have any.
Like, hey, can you get me some tea? Only if you give me pictures of Spider Boy.
Maybe it's like Jay Jonah with... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it could work. Who knows?
My runner-up is going to be a villain, so probably going to need to go in with your Captain America story, but this is going to be the Atomic Red Skull. So, Atomic Skull and Red Skull. Maybe that's a little too easy with the skulls being mixed up, but I thought you could have like a decent backstory of, Red Skull.
Right.
You probably have to give him some other name, but like during World War II, he's trying to come up with the atomic bomb first. Something goes wrong. He gets imbued with atomic powers, and now he's the Atomic Red Skull. So,
I'd buy that. I'd love to see him fight some guys.
Yeah, and I think that just gives Red Skull a little bit more power than just...
Right.
I mean, Red Skull he just gets like, he becomes Onslaught or something. I'm like, that's a little too...
Yeah. Let's just give him
weird
some
to me,
actual fighting prowess.
Exactly.
I'm there for it. I like it.
Okay. All right, I'll give you mine, because I'm more excited to hear what you've got. So I'll give you my last one, and then you can give me your last one. So we're going with Odin's Raven. So this is going to be a Loki and Raven mix called Odin's Raven.
Okay.
So you're still going to have, it looks like Loki, but it's more of the like purple. It's got kind of the feathered cape. Maybe a little bit more of a heroic version of Loki. And then, that ties in with more of your other Asgard blendings, but, kind of having like the Odin and Asgard and all that. I think that's kind of like, I don't know that DC necessarily has it exactly, but maybe that mixes in with like Wonder Woman and Thor. No, they did Wonder Woman and Storm before. So maybe you've got Wonder Woman and Thor, or some sort of mixes up like that.
Okay.
But Odin's Raven, Loki,
that's a good name.
Again, you're probably not going to call him Loki, but yeah, Odin's Raven. But
then,
then when he walks into a room, like, what do you call him? Like, hey.
I think we could work something out like that.
Okay.
Again, we might need some old Norse word that we don't know.
You do a little more research.
Then you could have Odin, the Odin Trigon combo as their father, perhaps.
I like that.
Okay. I'd like to see the mythologies come together.
Yeah.
I think we had a commenter
I
say
mainly
that
came up with like
on
the
our
title of the
last
book,
one.
and I was like, that's too good to pass up.
Yeah, I think we need some mythological stuff for sure. Now the opposite of mythological, we're going very street level here, Dakota, and two of our characters, well, one of them we love to put in everything, but this guy's going to be called the Faceless Devil, and you know and I know it's a Daredevil in the question. So you're going to get kind of like maybe he's lawyer, also PI combo. Maybe there's a conflict there. But he's going to be kind of more Daredevil-y, but if Daredevil had more like of an investigative bent.
Sure.
So not quite to Batman's level of resources, but it'd be like almost if you could take Batman's fighting ability like in Daredevil with his crime solving and kind of put it in a very grounded street level sense. So
I like that.
I'm trying to figure out how he could look without looking really goofy, but I think there'd be a way to make him look cool. And then you got the whole faceless, justice is blind type motif going, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I could see almost just like a Daredevil, like all red mask, just like flat in the front, like there's no nose, like.
Yeah. I don't think he can have a face hole, but maybe he's got a cool hat, though. Maybe he has a trench coat.
I was just wondering about that. Does he have a hat with the horns, too? That seems like a lot going on the top of his head.
I don't know. We might need to get more creative. Maybe it's not as literal, It's more just what you come up with.
Okay. I like the question, but in red.
There you go. Exactly.
Okay. I like that.
Those are some of our thoughts, folks, on Amalgam characters we would love to see mashed up. Please let us know in the comments below what you would like to see. If there's any that we missed, you can go back and watch our last video speculating or hoping for some Marvel DC crossovers. So go check that one out. Please be liking, sharing, and subscribing. And until next time, as always, stay strong.